They thought you'd always care, always chase, always be there. They believed no matter how distant they acted, no matter how much they took you for granted, you'd stay. You'd be there, waiting, hoping, and seeking their approval. But what happens when you don't? What happens when you stop seeking their attention, stop chasing after them, and instead decide to reclaim your peace? This is where everything begins to change, not just for you, but for them too. When you step back and choose to prioritize yourself, you disrupt the entire dynamic. You break the cycle of overgiving, of bending over backward for people who never appreciated it. Suddenly, their comfort, their control, and even their ego are thrown into disarray. It's a shift they never saw coming, and it holds immense power. But here's the truth, this isn't about being heartless or cold. Indifference doesn't mean you stop caring about the world or the people around you. It doesn't mean you build walls so high that no one can reach you. True indifference, the kind rooted in wisdom and strength, is about recognizing your worth and refusing to let someone else's behavior dictate your peace. It's about setting boundaries, standing firm, and understanding that you cannot control how others act, but you can control how you respond. This mindset is nothing new. The ancient Stoics understood the power of detachment. They believed that focusing on what you can control and releasing what you cannot is the key to true freedom. When you stop caring in the way they expect you to, when you stop feeding their ego, stop chasing their approval, it's not just liberating, it's transformative. Imagine the strength it takes to detach with grace, to let go of the need for someone's validation, and to reclaim your energy for yourself. This isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of mastery, over your emotions, over your actions, and your life. And while this may shake the very foundation of their ego, it builds something much more important for you: resilience, confidence, and a sense of inner peace that no one can take away. This isn't about revenge or playing games. It's not about proving a point to them. It's about proving something to yourself, that you are enough, that your value isn't tied to someone else's attention, and that you have the power to walk away from dynamics that no longer serve you. What happens when you stop caring isn't just about the impact it has on them. It's about the freedom it gives you. It's about stepping into a life where your energy is invested in things that matter, rather than being drained by those who don't. It's about realizing that the most powerful thing you can do isn't to fight for their attention, it's to let go of the need for it altogether. This shift is more than just a behavior change, it's a change in perspective. It's about understanding that you have nothing to prove to anyone except yourself. And when you finally let go, when you stop playing by their rules, you begin to see just how much power you've been holding all along. They may not be ready for this shift. They may not know how to handle it. But that's not your responsibility. Your only responsibility is to yourself, to your growth, to your happiness, and to the peace of mind that comes from knowing you're no longer tethered to someone else's validation. So what happens when you stop caring? You rise. You reclaim your power. And you step into a version of yourself that is unshakable, unstoppable, and entirely free. The trap of seeking validation. People will treat you according to the standards you set. If you constantly show up for someone, regardless of how they treat you, they begin to take your presence for granted. Over time, they come to expect your kindness, your patience, and your efforts as if they're owed, not earned. It's a subtle shift, but it can slowly erode your sense of self-worth. When you're caught in the cycle of seeking validation, it often starts small, a gesture here, a compromise there. You tell yourself it's just because you care. But then it grows. You begin overgiving, constantly trying to prove your worth through your actions. You sacrifice your own needs, hoping they'll notice. Hoping they'll value you the way you deserve. But the truth is, the more you give without limits, the less they appreciate it. This pattern isn't uncommon. The more you pour into someone without boundaries, the more they start to see your efforts as the norm. Your care, your attention, your energy, they become expected rather than valued. And as they grow comfortable, you may find yourself giving more and more, while receiving less and less. It's like trying to fill a cup with a hole in the bottom. No matter how much you pour in, it never seems to be enough. And the more you try, the more you deplete yourself. It's exhausting, isn't it? To feel like no matter how much you give, your efforts are met with indifference, or worse, entitlement. But here's the thing, when you overgive, you're unknowingly teaching others to undervalue you. By bending over backward to accommodate them, you send the message that your time, energy, and boundaries are negotiable. You create a dynamic where they feel comfortable talking because you've made it easy for them to do so. The trap of seeking validation leaves you drained and questioning your worth. But the truth is, your worth has never been tied to their recognition. It's not about how much you can give to someone else, it's about how much you can preserve for yourself. So, what happens when you step back? What happens when you stop seeking their approval and decide to break free from this cycle? That's when everything begins to change. You shift the focus from proving your worth to protecting it. And in doing so, you reclaim the power that was always yours to begin with. The power of detachment. There's an incredible freedom that comes when you stop caring about external validation. It's like a weight is lifted, and suddenly, the energy you once poured into chasing approval is yours again. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself, to overextend, or to constantly wonder if you're enough in someone else's eyes. Detachment isn't about giving up, it's about letting go of the things that were never in your control to begin with. When you detach, you reclaim your power. You begin to see that your worth isn't tied to anyone else's opinions or behavior. This shift, while deeply personal, has a profound impact on those around you, especially those who once thrived on your constant attention. For someone who has grown comfortable with you chasing them, your detachment shakes the foundation of their ego. It forces them to confront a reality they never anticipated: you don't need them. And that realization can be more jarring than any words you could say. Think about it, when someone's sense of importance is built on the belief that you'll always be there, your decision to step back challenges that narrative. Suddenly, they're no longer the center of your world, and the control they thought they had begins to slip away. It's unsettling for them, but liberating for you. From a Stoic perspective, this detachment is the essence of inner peace. The Stoics believe that true freedom comes from focusing on what you can control and letting go of what you cannot. You cannot control how others view you or how they respond to your actions, but you can control how much power you give to their opinions. By shifting your focus inward, you stop being a prisoner to someone else's validation and become the master of your peace. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring altogether, it means you stop letting external factors dictate your happiness. It means understanding that your peace is too valuable to be placed in the hands of others. And while this shift may leave some people unsettled, it's not about them. It's about you. When you stop seeking validation and start living authentically, you free yourself from the exhausting cycle of trying to please others. You're no longer tethered to their expectations or their approval. Instead, you stand grounded in your worth, knowing that your value doesn't diminish just because someone else failed to see it. This liberation is powerful. It allows you to focus your energy on the things that truly matter: your growth, your goals, and your happiness. And while others may struggle to understand or accept this change, it's not your job to make them comfortable. Your job is to protect your peace, reclaim your energy, and continue walking the path that leads to your fulfillment. Detachment isn't a loss, it's a gain. It's not about being indifferent to others, it's about being deeply committed to yourself. And in that commitment lies the true power of freedom. The ego's reaction to indifference. When you detach, something unexpected happens. The person who once seemed so confident, so in control, begins to feel unsteady. Your indifference forces them to reflect on their own insecurities, peeling back the layers of their ego and exposing the cracks beneath. This isn't about hurting them, it's about showing them a reality they've been avoiding. Imagine a crowded party. Someone is standing in the corner, scrolling through their phone, pretending to be aloof and unbothered. Their body language screams, "I don't need anyone." But in truth, their confidence hinges on one thing: the attention of others. As long as they think people are watching them, they feel secure. Now picture this: one by one, the audience stops paying attention. The conversations continue, the laughter flows, and the energy of the room shifts away from them. Suddenly, their aloofness isn't intriguing, it's irrelevant. Without the gaze of others to prop them up, their self-assured facade begins to crumble. This is what happens when you stop caring. For someone whose ego thrives on being the center of your attention, your detachment feels like the rug being pulled out from under them. They relied on your energy, your reactions, and your validation to maintain their sense of importance. When you withdraw all of that, they're left with an uncomfortable silence, a mirror reflecting their insecurities at them. The truth is, their ego wasn't built on their self-worth, it was built on your investment in them. As long as you kept chasing, they could avoid facing their fears and doubts. Your attention was their safety net, allowing them to feel secure without ever having to confront the deeper issues within themselves. But the moment you pull back, everything changes. They start questioning themselves: why aren't you chasing me anymore? What's changed? Did I lose control? These questions hit harder than anything you could have said because they force them to look inward, something they've likely been avoiding. This isn't about revenge or making them feel small. It's about recognizing the power dynamic that was at play and choosing to remove yourself from it. When you stop feeding their ego, you take away the fuel it needs to thrive. And without that fuel, it falters. Detachment, at its core, is about reclaiming your energy. It's about redirecting your focus from someone else's needs to your well-being. While they may scramble to regain the control they thought they had, you stand firm, unshaken by their attempts to pull you back in. Their ego depends on your attention, but your peace depends on letting go. And when you make that choice, when you decide to detach with grace, you not only free yourself, but you also force them to confront a truth they've been running from: your worth doesn't revolve around them. And that's a realization their ego may not be ready to handle. Overcoming the fear of letting go. Letting go is never easy. The fear of stepping back, of releasing control, can feel overwhelming. Questions race through your mind: what if they leave? What if they don't care? What if my absence doesn't even matter to them? These thoughts can make you cling tighter, holding on to something that's already slipping away, hoping that somehow your efforts will make them see your worth. But here's the truth: your worth isn't tied to their reaction. It isn't tied to whether they stay or go, whether they care or don't. Your worth exists independently of anyone else's opinion. It's inherent, unshakable, and entirely yours. When you stop seeking their validation, you're not losing anything, you're simply rediscovering the value that was always within you. The fear of letting go often stems from a deeper place. It's the fear of being alone, of feeling insignificant, of wondering if you'll ever find someone who truly values you. But these fears are rooted in something you cannot control. You can't control how someone feels about you, how they react to your actions, or whether they choose to stay in your life. What you can control, however, is how you respond to those fears. And this is where Stoicism offers profound wisdom: focus only on what is within your control. Your actions, your thoughts, your choices, these are yours to command. Everything else, their reactions, their feelings, their decisions, belongs to them. When you let go of what you can't control, you free yourself from the burden of trying to manage the uncontrollable. You stop pouring energy into fixing something that was never yours to fix in the first place. And in that freedom, you find clarity. Think of it this way: imagine holding on to a rope that's pulling you toward a cliff. The tighter you grip, the more exhausted you become, and the closer you get to the edge. But the moment you let go, you stop the struggle. You may feel unsteady at first, but you're no longer being dragged towards something that's harming you. Instead, you're standing firm, finally able to breathe. Letting go isn't about giving up on them, it's about choosing yourself. It's about recognizing that you can't force someone to see your value, but you can refuse to let their inability to see it diminish your self-worth. And yes, there's fear in stepping back. Fear of the unknown, fear of losing them. But in that fear lies an incredible opportunity, the chance to reclaim your energy, focus on your own growth, and trust that what is meant for you will come to you without force. The moment you let go, you take back your power. You're no longer bound by their opinions or their validation. You're free to live on your terms, to find joy in your own company, and to build a life that doesn't depend on anyone else's approval. Stoicism teaches us that peace comes not from controlling the world around us, but from mastering the world within us. By releasing what you can't control, you create space for what truly matters, your happiness, your growth, and your unshakable sense of self-worth. So, what if they leave? Then they were never truly meant to stay. What if they don't care? Then their lack of care doesn't define you. The only thing that matters is what you choose to do with the power you've always had. Letting go isn't the end, it's the beginning of something greater, your freedom, your peace, and your journey back to yourself. Reclaiming your energy and confidence. Detachment isn't about revenge. It's not about proving a point or making someone feel the way they made you feel. Detachment is about self-respect. It's about recognizing that your energy is precious and refusing to waste it on situations or people who don't reciprocate or appreciate it. For too long, you may have poured everything you had into someone else, your time, your attention, your care, hoping they would see your worth. But detachment is the moment you realize that you deserve more. It's the decision to stop overextending yourself and start setting boundaries that protect your peace. Think of your energy like water. When you keep watering a plant with no roots, no matter how much effort you put in, it will never grow. It's a losing battle, leaving you drained and frustrated. But when you shift your focus and start cultivating a garden with thriving plants, plants with strong roots and the potential to bloom, you begin to see the fruits of your effort. That garden represents your growth, your happiness, and your goals. Reclaiming your energy means taking all the time and effort you once gave to someone else and redirecting it inward. Instead of trying to fix a relationship where you're the only one doing the work, you invest in yourself. You pursue the things that bring you joy, that help you grow, and that build your confidence. This shift isn't about punishing anyone, it's about prioritizing yourself. It's about understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup. By pulling back from people who take more than they give, you allow yourself the space to focus on what truly matters. As you reclaim your energy, you'll notice something incredible. The things that once drained you will no longer have power over you. The relationships that feel like a struggle will feel lighter, either because they improve or because you've chosen to walk away from them. And the more you focus on your happiness and growth, the more confident you'll become. Confidence isn't about being loud or bold. It's about knowing your worth without needing to prove it to anyone else. It's about walking into a room without seeking validation because you already know you're enough. When you stop watering that rootless plant, you free yourself to cultivate a life that blooms. You focus on relationships, hobbies, and goals that nourish you, instead of depleting you. And in doing so, you create a sense of peace and fulfillment that doesn't depend on anyone else. Reclaiming your energy isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's the foundation of a healthy, balanced life. So, take a step back. Stop chasing. Stop overgiving. And start investing in the most important person in your life, you. Because when you reclaim your energy and confidence, you're not just surviving, you're thriving. You're building a life where your happiness isn't tied to anyone else, and that is the ultimate power. How your growth impacts others. Growth is a quiet force, but its impact can be deafening. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, and stop trying to prove yourself, your silence becomes more powerful than any words you could say. It sends a clear message: you've chosen yourself, and you no longer need their validation to feel whole. For someone who relied on your attention, your growth is unsettling. It shifts the entire dynamic. Where they once felt secure in your pursuit, your independence now makes them question themselves. They can no longer rely on your energy to bolster their ego. Instead, they're left with their reflection, a mirror that forces them to confront the truth about their actions and their shortcomings. Imagine someone who has always seen themselves as the center of the universe. As long as you were orbiting around them, their world felt stable. But when you step away and start shining on your own, it disrupts your sense of control. They begin to wonder, why aren't they chasing me anymore? Was it something I did? Why don't I feel as important without their attention? This isn't about intentionally making them feel bad, it's about the natural consequences of your growth. When you stop feeding someone's ego, they're forced to rely on their sense of self-worth. And for many, that's a difficult adjustment, especially if they've become accustomed to leaning on others for validation. But here's the most important part, their reaction isn't your responsibility. It's not your job to fix the discomfort they feel as a result of your growth. It's not your duty to reassure them or to make them feel better about their insecurities. Your responsibility is to yourself, to your peace, your happiness, and your journey forward. As you continue to grow, you may notice subtle changes in their behavior. They might try to re-establish control, testing whether you'll fall back into old patterns. They might reach out, act distant, or even criticize you, hoping to pull you back into the dynamic where they felt secure. But remember, their reaction is about them, not you. Your growth highlights a simple but profound truth: you are no longer willing to settle for less than you deserve. And while that truth may unsettle them, it's a necessary step in your journey. Growth isn't about proving anything to anyone else, it's about becoming the best version of yourself. It's about building a life that feels fulfilling, regardless of who chooses to stay or leave. And as you continue to grow, the people who truly value and respect you will rise to meet you where you are. So, let them react however they choose. Let them face their reflection and their shortcomings. That's their journey, not yours. Your path is forward, toward a life filled with confidence, peace, and the freedom that comes from knowing your worth. Your silence, your independence, and your growth are all the statements you need to make. They're not just about leaving the past behind. They're about building a future where your happiness is entirely your own. And that's the kind of power no one can take away. The transformation through Stoicism. When you stop chasing, you rise. When you stop overgiving, you thrive. The moment you let go of the need to control how others see you or treat you, you step into a new level of freedom. A freedom that allows you to reclaim your energy, your peace, and your self-worth. This transformation is the essence of Stoicism, a philosophy that teaches us to focus only on what we can control and release the rest. In relationships, this means letting go of the need to seek validation or approval from others. It means understanding that your value doesn't depend on anyone else's opinion, and your happiness doesn't hinge on your behavior. Stoicism offers a roadmap for navigating relationships with strength and clarity. It teaches us to set boundaries without guilt, to protect our peace without apology, and to find fulfillment within ourselves rather than looking for it in others. When you embrace this mindset, you stop reacting to the world around you and start responding with intention and grace. Imagine a life where you are no longer weighed down by the opinions or actions of others. A life where your sense of self-worth isn't tied to someone else's recognition but is rooted firmly in your understanding of who you are. This is the power of Stoicism. It doesn't just help you survive difficult relationships, it helps you thrive despite them. As you embrace your independence, you'll find that your perspective shifts. You'll no longer ask, why don't they value me? Instead, you'll ask, do they align with the values I hold for myself? Do they deserve a place in my life? This change isn't about arrogance, it's about confidence. It's about knowing that you are whole and complete as you are. Trust in your self-worth. Trust in your ability to create a life that feels meaningful and fulfilling without needing to overextend yourself for others. Independence isn't about shutting people out, it's about building relationships that are rooted in mutual respect and shared growth. When you stop chasing, you rise. When you stop overgiving, you thrive. And when you embrace the principles of Stoicism, you unlock a strength and peace that no one can take away. This isn't just about relationships, it's about how you approach life. By focusing on what you can control, your actions, your mindset, and your energy, you empower yourself to live authentically and intentionally. The journey may not always be easy, but it will always be worth it. So stand tall in your independence. Trust that you are enough, just as you are. And remember, the greatest transformation comes not from changing others, but from embracing your growth and potential. This is your moment to thrive. Take it. Your growth is a statement, a declaration that you are choosing yourself, your peace, and your happiness. Now, it's time to affirm that choice. Write in the comments below, "I reclaim my power." Let those words be a commitment to your journey of self-mastery and a reminder of the strength you hold within. If this message resonated with you, show your support by giving this video a like. It's a small but powerful action that reflects your commitment to personal growth. And don't forget to subscribe for more insights and empowering content to guide you on your journey. Every step you take toward reclaiming your power is a step toward living a life that's authentically yours. Let's grow together.